I think the biggest open goal in terms of industries at the moment in the world, mature industries that are completely under optimized from a delivery marketing perspective, this has got to be number one. And it is the travel market. Our new vibe is that we're going to do these industry deep dives. Yeah. So I'm going to look at the marketing and the sales and generally be the creative flair. And you're going to look at all the boring tech shit and just work out how it can be more efficient.
Having the automaton sitting there just like it's reading stuff. Yeah.
So get the good stuff from me out the way, and then if anyone's really interested, they can listen to Rich.
Get the good stuff from Guilty over here. Yeah, Guilty did a great job. Yeah, Guilty.
No one's going to get the fucking Office reference. We do not have any 45-year-old British men in our audience. I don't know, maybe we have a few. Our audience is US, South Africa. Tom Penn will be a big. Tom Penn will enjoy it.
Tom Penn fucking hates me. Tom Penn thinks I'm a joker, a charlatan. That's what Tom Penn thinks. Never even met the fella.
He says, Haynes talks sense. Sam's is an utter fraud.
Yeah, there we go. Tom Penn. Can we find a picture of Tom Penn? He won't mind if we just smash it straight on the YouTube video, will he? Mm-hmm.
You know what's good, Rich? You know what's really good?
Tell me.
When you get a message. So our business development person, Caroline, is based in Tokyo because this is pretty fucking cool. Her boyfriend is playing professional rugby in Japan. Did you know that was a thing?
I knew Japan really was deeply into rugby. Yeah, part of its popular sport out there.
He's playing Division 2 professional rugby in Japan. So they're living in Tokyo. So she's obviously, I think she's about 8 hours ahead. So she does all of her shit while I'm asleep. And so I'll get a little message from her in the morning. And the ones that I've been getting have been fucking good. So the one, I've just got so many here. Like this morning, it just said, "Hey Doug, great news." That's the sort of shit you want to wake up to, isn't it? The other day, "Happy Friday."
She sounds like she's enjoying life in Tokyo.
Oh, she's buzzing. Good news. That was another one. Hey Doug, just wanted to confirm the meeting for next Thursday. I'm just having a BD person in Tokyo is just the ultimate unlock, just in terms of psychologically. In fact,
because it starts the day well.
Just fucking starts the day. Here, Doug, good news. And if she doesn't have good news, that's just you expect not to have good news with BD, don't you? So it's not like your tech team are in Tokyo and you're waking up and they're like, all this fucking shit is broken. It is like either nothing, which is what you expect. We're probably not going to do that many deals, or unexpected good news. It's an absolute dream. So I think that's the unlock, isn't it, Rich?
Basically, Southeast Asian and Asian BD teams just only to take advantage of positive vibes from the time zone. That's it. Sole reason.
And the reason that she has given me good news is on the grounds of the industry, that one of the industries that we're targeting at the moment, which is, I think, the biggest open goal in terms of industries at the moment in the world. Now, if we take out all the tech and the high risk, AI, which is obviously huge, but just mature industries that are completely under optimized from a delivery marketing perspective, this has got to be number one. And it is the travel market. Right. So today, why would anyone listen to this fucking thing?
If they are interested in going, if they own a travel company, tourist travel company, maybe they're a little bit old school. If you are interested in going into the sector, if you're service provider looking to disrupt the sector, could be an option. You could just be a victim to YouTube's algorithm and you get presented with us mugs. But I think typically people that are in it, people that are looking to get in it, and people that support it or service it.
What have we got? What's on our platter? Why should they fucking give 20, 30 minutes to me and you just chatting shit about the travel industry? What the fuck could we know?
Well, we don't necessarily know a deep dive about the travel industry, right? We've done our research, we've done our thinking. What we can do is bring our expertise. You can say how long you've had, but I've had 15 years in building technology projects for different verticals, and we've done a lot in travel. And obviously with the advent of AI and stuff, things are being shaken up then again. So I think if you're interested in doing something in travel. There could be some snippets from a tech perspective, a tech product perspective.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we've got into it quite recently, actually. So my journey into travel started about 2 years ago. Got an email from a lady who was a PR company. She was like, "We've got all these like companies we work with, we do PR, and they're always asking us about SEO, but we haven't got a fucking clue how to do that. I saw you guys. I was talking about SEO and travel on LinkedIn. She was like, maybe you could help." Anyway, I started looking into her customers' sites, and they're all actually in the UK. They were like high end hotels, like 5-star that had venues and all that kind of shit. So we started looking into it, and I was like, I literally could not believe how much search traffic there was for these like the types of businesses. So it's like anything to do with like, you know, the Cotswolds. There's all the search traffic around visiting, cycling, walking, fucking restaurants, whatever. All that search traffic. No one, not a person is servicing it. So you've got hundreds of thousands of search terms for like this fairly niche vertical. No one's writing anything for it. It's a complete open goal, which I said to her, and it actually sort of fizzled away in the end. But it got me really interested in it, and we've done a little bit in the space to now. That's how I'm interested in the market. And what I'm going to talk about now is a few of the dynamics that I've come across from a marketing perspective that might be useful. So, a few thoughts on the travel industry. Okay, number one, this thing is like really the African safari market, which is a niche of that market. Guess what that is worth? That market size is worth in a year in dollars.
In a year, no idea.
18 billion.
What? That niche, that sub niche is worth. There's 18 billion being spent in that sub niche.
Correct.
Wowzers. Okay.
I don't thought. That's a lot more than I thought, because we were looking at, because we're doing some like outbound marketing into the travel sector, and I was looking at it. I was like, how broad do we really want to go? Like,
not very.
And the answer is not to vary if there's fucking 18 billion being spent. And I was talking to Caroline, who's doing the outbound, and she's like, Doug, this is fucking endless. There are so many companies selling that. That's either all they do, or it is like a subset of what they do. So massive, totally fragmented. There are not many big players. It's loads of small companies that, you know, 5 people in it. So they're all, none of them are really doing much from a marketing perspective. SEO is an absolute joke, how open the goal is, because search works really well for certain verticals, right? So travel's one where like people are still going to search on Google because they're doing like deeper research. Obviously they'll use like social for like top of funnel and inspiration and stuff. But when they're like, I'm going to fucking Jakarta, I want to know like all this shit, they're going to, particularly the demographic of people that spend money, which is older people, they're going to use search engines. So search engines make a ton of sense. There is an inordinate amount of searchers, hundreds of thousands, millions for most niches, totally unserved. No one is writing anything. So if you want to get high on that search engine, it's pretty straightforward. Paid works incredibly well for this market. So the guys in Scotland now, actually, search worked so well, but they were like, actually, fuck it, we now just use paid. Our ROI on paid is, I don't want to give the exact numbers, but a joke how high it is. So what we say to companies is just do both. Like, do your SEO long term, just own all that traffic, and then, you know, do paid as well. Obviously, social media, I know less about that, but definitely worth doing as well. Also, the margins are really good in travel. Like, they make an absolute huge margin off on top of what the vendors charge, particularly if you're doing it in like, you know, South Africa. There's a company that specializes in Zimbabwe tours, fucking huge traffic for that sort of shit. You can make really big margins for kind of wrapping that together. So from a marketing perspective, you could drive tens of thousands of visitors per month within 12 months, very, very easily.
All right. So let's take. I went to a game farm down along the Garden route from Cape Town, small place, kind of like, beautiful, stunning kind of environment, but relatively small, fairly well. Not the land wasn't small, but the accommodation was small, and everything they did was fairly boutique. So, if they were listening to this, what would your like 1, 2, 3 be to do to like the CEO, or the founder, or the owner, or the MD of? I think it was called Botlier's Cop. I'm probably butchering the name of that, but what would your advice be from a marketing perspective? Talking to the owner of the game farm, then also the tour provider, who plugs into that game farm, because I guess there's two potential value points here for the people that own the game farm and also the people that want to sell the tours to that game farm. How does it work for both listeners, do you think?
Can work. The principles are the same, and the principle is that the search engines now are becoming more kind of content focused. They want really good quality content from actual local providers, because obviously with the advent of AI, the search engines are just getting awash with just sort of generic stuff. And the way that they are going to address that is by having genuine insight. So like the guys that own that, either the tour operator or the people that own that safari lodge, can create unique content. They can create video content. They can have insight on what the area is like, and it can all be from their perspective. That's what the search engines clearly state that they want. So the advice would be, go and create 20 content assets that are incredibly, genuinely valuable for anyone that's thinking about visiting either your farm or more likely the area. So whatever area it's in, or, if someone's searching to go on a safari, just create some really good, high quality content that addresses that question. There's a few techniques behind that they would need to learn and find out what the keywords are and those kind of things. But if they were doing that, they would be 90% of the way there.
Yeah. And I guess if they don't feel comfortable, they want to outsource that, they could come to like a Kalium or a similar agency to support them to do that writing, to do that strategy and everything else like that, right? Pretty straightforward for you guys to do that. Would be how easy is it for them to buy? Because they obviously want more business, probably. They want to be able to go and do it. If they're a bit intimidated about creating that content, understanding what works, how to do it, that's a fairly straightforward brief for a marketing agency to pick up.
Yeah, it's straightforward, because the hardest part is like, what's the original content? So if we're doing content for search engines, if it's for a very generic product, it's a little bit more difficult. But if you've got something unique, for this tour agency or for this safari lodge, like in a 20-minute conversation with them, we could glean so much interesting context, and then go and create the content that's sort of written part for people, part for search engines. So the funny thing is, these businesses are basically 90% of the way there. They've got all of this incredible insight in their heads. All we need to do is just get that streamlined for search engines, which for an agency or even individual that knows what they're doing, fairly straightforward brief.
Okay, interesting. So weren't you doing it for wine farms? Didn't you have something pushing, like you're doing a POC of this kind of stuff on wine farms?
Yeah, it's called Epic Escapes. It still exists. And so I actually don't know what the URL is, but Calvin, I'm sure you can shove it up on the screen. Epic Escapes, which is just because a lot of the companies we work with, the tour companies, don't want us to use their stuff for case studies. We created that just to show people like what the content can look like. So we've done it for wine farms. We haven't actually turned it into a business where we can sell tours off it at the moment, but I think we probably will.
Okay. All right. So should we have a chat through some of the tech stuff? Just thinking about some of the things that could be done there. So just starting on the tour. So I kind of want to shape it around AI, because that's the most disruptive thing. Let's assuming that everybody's got e-commerce. Let's assuming everybody's got a website, everybody probably got an app. You might have some form of communication system for support or something like that. So some of the things that I came up with, I would imagine with tour companies, there's a tremendous amount of back and forth that goes into having a decision being made. So people would probably populate a page, it will say, go to this game farm. This is our cost, 7 days. I don't know how questions are being asked within inside the tour companies from potential customers. So there's a definite opportunity to do some form of LLM wrapper, so some GPT style wrapper where you can start to ask questions. You could build a knowledge base that could plug into, that could be very specific around the tools that you've got or the things that you've got. So you could interact. Your first instances could be having a conversation with some form of, AI interface that would allow you to do that. So, I'm interested in this kind of space. What does this look like? What do the reviews look like? How have people said? Could you bring me some content through? And then you could draft that through into some form of conversational piece. So it saves on getting people on the phone. It also means that you're going from a consistent knowledge base rather than talking to someone who might be happy one day, might not be this, might not know about this thing, so it can be very centralized. There's got to be something around scheduling and tour scheduling and being able to optimize customer preferences, ensuring efficient kind of operation, weather, traffic, all sorts of things like that. If you're going from A to B, potentially. So I was thinking about
quick question, Rich. Can I ask you a question just on that AI stuff? That is fascinating. I think. Let's just say that this sort of AI agent, the specialist agent that you build, and you said you could create like a knowledge base. So can you create essentially a unique knowledge base that when people ask questions, your AI goes to this specific
100%
that you have built that no one else has, like build it 100%. In that way. And you can ask it to respond to queries in a certain way. So you can kind of train it.
Sort of. It's not really training. It's you've got a block of information, you've got a knowledge base, and you're essentially querying. You're asking it questions. But yeah, you absolutely can do that. And you can improve certain things and
how hard
omit
is that?
Certain information.
We do that shit.
We've done that many times. Ben calls it last mile AI. So you've got basically you've got the AI stack, if you will. OpenAI is a classic example, but there are many LLMs. And then you've got this piece that sits on top of that, completing that last mile before the customer. So that last mile AI POC in travel could be that. It could be informational.
What's POC?
Or it could be proof of concept. So we're pushing a lot on these AI last mile POCs because a lot of people in their industry want to test out things that they think could be used to help them. And that's in this space, I think that automated booking knowledge assistance space is quite big because people are going to have questions. People might say, "Oh, I've heard about South Africa. Is it safe? What's the roads like?" Who knows what they're worried about or what they want to find out about? Go and Google that. It's going to be a nightmare. So you want to be able to, have that knowledge base.
How different, if you had your own specialized, AI that you'd sort of created the infrastructure for and the content, how different is that going to look from just going to ChatGPT? Is that going to look, you could make that very different, very specialized?
Yeah. The interface is, you would use voice or you'd use text.
No, I don't mean I mean more like the content you get back.
Oh, the content you get back could be highly specified to the topic that you're talking about, for sure.
That's pretty.
And you can control
cool.
it. It's called guardrails. Okay. What are you doing, what you're not doing. Before we move on, I've got to go and get my laptop. I've got to go and get my charger. So we're just going to cut. Just let me go get my charger. Right.
I just want to say. Can I just say? You're fucking on form today. Your questions and your unpicking of the marketing stuff was so good. You really just took what I was saying. I was just fucking bleating out shit, and you just really took it somewhere. And this explanation of the AI stuff is fucking good.
Well, did you know what I was just doing? I taught a thing on Socratic selling to the team the other day. And Socratic selling is about opening and guiding questions. And I just thought, you know what? I'm going to try and do this podcast like I'm doing a sales pitch. And that means I'm listening, I'm actively listening, and then I'm going to guide. And I think that's probably a structure we should do. And it's the same for you because you're doing it back to me about this kind of stuff. And this is what's going to be interesting. We're picking a thing, we're tackling it from a marketing perspective and a tech perspective. So we look at the industry, break it down as much as we can. Marketing, you go, I go this, challenge across. That is interesting because you're either interested in marketing. If you're interested in marketing, you want to know how to deploy it. If you're interested in tech, you want to know how to deploy it, you need marketing. They work symbiotically. So it's symbiotically, not that.
Yeah, mate, it's good. I think, you are just This is a good technique. I'm enjoying it. Okay, cool. All right, so that's the AI. I mean, we could go down a fucking hole with that, but it's interesting. That's good. I've enjoyed that. All right, first tour one. Be good to see if anyone's got any feedback. Please let us know if that was interesting in the way that we think it was.
What Doug and I are trying to do when we were thinking about Bear With Me and how like interesting or valuable it could be is to ultimately look at different verticals or different industries and then take a subset of that industry. So we looked at travel today, we looked at tours today, and then break down some sub niches and apply our knowledge. So our knowledge around marketing for Doug and tech for myself, and see whether we can provide some insight, open discussion, throw some things around what people could do from innovation. And hopefully, give some ideas to people that are servicing those markets, servicing those industries, or actually functioning with inside got a company with inside of those inside the spaces. And whilst at it, have a little bit of a giggle and see what we can throw out.